Hi everybody, I'm Romy. I wanted to start off with just a little oil tip today, just to get us going. I thought it would be something fun if you guys are doing Facebook or any kind of just fun stuff. So we got a really cool book from doTERRA for Christmas, and it talked about different diffuser recipes and different ideas for what you can do with the oils. So I played with one of them. So have you guys ever seen the little water balls, water beads? Can you see those? So I played around with it. I actually had some that I had bought last year for my plants. And so, but I also bought them on Amazon. And they are, you get them in just these little packets. Whoa. Ay, ay, ay. There, you can get different colors. Can you see that? So they come in these little packets. Really, they swell up quite big. So I put them in this pitcher, and then I used a little container. So this kind of shows you how many few water beads you need to fill a container. When these are swollen, this container is full. So you just go through and oh boy, they're very bouncy. Now I have them all over my coach. So you just go through and just kind of add them in there, and then just add after they're swollen, they take like 24 hours to swell up, just so you know. They start swelling quickly, but it takes about 24 hours. Then you drain all the water off. Put them in whatever kind of cool container that you want, and then just add whatever kind of oil you want. So you have kind of like a little cool potpourri deal wherever you want, like if you want to do it in your bathroom or as you come in the door or whatever. And it smells good. So that's my tip for the day for oils. Now hopefully it doesn't tip over and I got bouncing balls all over the place. So today I'm gonna talk about the law of expectation, and it's coming out of the book that Amber and Stephanie and Ashley and Joe and I are reading. And so a lot of what I'm gonna do is really just read what I think is pertinent out of the book, and then just kind of talk a little bit about it. And I have some of my own little notes that will go along with it. So the mind is a powerful magnet, and as such, it attracts whatever corresponds to its ruling state. Expectation dictates what that ruling state will be, and therefore governs what corresponds to the mind and is attracted into your life. Expectation can be either a blessing or a curse, but either way, it is certainly one of the most powerful unseen forces in your life. And that's John Cannery, I think is how you say it. So expectation can be the triggering mechanism which attracts into your life every good you desire. However, expectation can also turn just as rapidly into a destructive, lethal enemy. Therefore, you must be cognizant of how you are exercising this invisible but powerful force. I believe you already understand you cannot have wealth in your material world until you have first visualized the wealth in your mind. But what does this really mean? It means that before any of us can even begin to overcome the poverty which surrounds us in our external world, we must first conquer the impoverishment that is buried deep within ourselves. So it goes along with the expectation. It goes along with what we talk about pretty regularly about our thoughts and what we speak, and really being cognizant of creating that positive atmosphere, really keeping our vibration high, and not letting outside influences come in and distract us. And so there's also a book that we have read, and Kenzie is actually the one that recommended it to me, and it's called The Power. And it also talks a lot about the power of your thoughts. And so this says the two determining factors for you to attain the results you want are desire and expectation. But you must understand, if your desire is not combined with the expectation that you will receive what you desire, you will find yourself continually frustrated. It talks about, like, when you write them down and you don't take action, or basically you're just wishing things to happen. Just because you say you want something doesn't mean you're going to get it if you don't take action all the way around to be able to achieve that. And it starts in our mind, in our thoughts, in our thought process. So your desire is the motor power which will move you in the direction of your dream, and expectation is the attractive force that will move your dream in your direction. So see yourself moving toward the wealth you visualize, and see the wealth you visualize being attracted to you. So in the law of expectation, in the chapter in the book, at the end it says, there are 3 certain steps for achieving prosperity in all areas of your life. Build the image in your mind, and that's where you paint the picture. And we've talked about with several times with our goals, and it really is painting that very distinct picture. And you want to be able to see and smell and everything that goes along with what your desire is. And as far as, like, as an example, if you say you want a car, a new car, go find a car at a car lot and sit in the car and take a picture of yourself in that car. Really get your senses involved in the process of what you are desiring in order to move you forward in that line of expectation. So, and then relax and see yourself already in possession of the good that you desire. And then number 2 is turn it over to spirit, let go and let God. God will go to work in God's perfect way and move you into an entirely new vibration. Let your image sink deep into the treasury of your subconscious mind. Let yourself get totally and emotionally involved with your image, because by doing this, you are letting go and letting God. One of the things that I found interesting about this book, and when I first started doing my business, I talked a lot about faith. If you've listened to me talk, you know what I talk about. And I actually had somebody reach out to me and say, you can't combine your faith with your business. And that's actually the only time I've ever had somebody come back at me. I try to be very sensitive to the people that I talk to, but I also want to be very authentic and be who I am. And so what I loved about this book and a lot of the personal development books is that they really do, the successful people really do bring faith into their business and really talk about the importance of a higher being that comes into play in your life and in the success of your life. And so that was, in the chapter in the book is let go and let God. So there's a lot of talk in there, and one of the things that it talks about is like the top, I have it written down, like the top thought thinkers and the very successful people, they all have one thing in common, and that is that they believe in something greater than themselves. They all believe that there is a greater being that is really in control of what's happening in our lives. Plus, it just makes it easier, so it's not all on us. So expect with your heart and soul that spirit will reward you openly for your faith. Expect abundance and abundance. So I have a couple of verses that are my favorite when it comes to this thought and this area of thinking. And it's, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And the other one is, but when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea blown and tossed by the wind. And so when we talk about the different things that we want that's where the expectation comes in. And so when we say we want something, we really have to be very, very intentional with our thoughts and connect our thoughts and our heart to really there and really, really believe and have that we're asking for. God really wants us to have it. We have desires of our hearts, and they're placed there. God placed them there. And the way that I look at it is, because some people will say, well, how do I know if this is me, or how do I know if this is something that, an idea that God has given me? And for the most part, the way that I look at it is that if it includes love and helping people and serving people and for the greater good, how can it not be from God? And so then you have to step into the wisdom aspect of it and really listen, and move in that direction. But that's the way that I look at it. So the plans, the verse, I had a question about the reference for the scriptures. The first one was Jeremiah 29:11, and the second one was James 1:6. So I wanted to define the terms for faith and expectation. So faith is absolute certainty in the trustworthiness of another, mental acceptance of the truth or actuality of something. Expectation, to look forward to look for as likely to occur or appear, anticipate. Implies a considerable degree of confidence that an event will happen. It suggests a reaching out and readiness to receive. And that is the ready to receive, I think, is super important. So when we stay in that mode of faith and expectation, we really need to be ready to receive. And when we are in receiving mode, that helps us to be able to give more. So we receive the goodness, and then we are blessed abundantly in order to be able to serve and give more. So it really is that sowing and reaping and all of that. An attitude, a manner of acting, feeling, or thinking that shows one's disposition, character, or opinion. A frame of mind affecting one's thoughts or behavior. A general cast of mind with regard to something. And if you're in the midst of a challenge, get an attitude of faith and expectation. And when we have that attitude of expectation, when we talk about the different things that we want, that expectation should really give us that bubble of excitement, and really that anticipation of good things are coming my way. Even when you are in a situation where it doesn't look like things are going well, you don't go by what you see. You still maintain that thought process. You still maintain that proper language and really speak. Good things are coming my way. I'm moving on up. I'm happy. I'm healthy. I'm healed. You may not see it manifesting right now, but the seed has been planted because of your belief and your expectation and the speaking of it, and you want to always stay in gratitude with that. So as you're speaking and expecting, you want to be grateful and thanking ahead of time for what's coming your way. What I found interesting is I talk about my spiritual mamas, and the one spiritual mama that I had, she was just she was hardcore when you talk about being sick. We'd get down under the bridge and she'd have a cold. She looked like she had a cold and she looked miserable. And I'd be like, do you have a cold? No, I am healed. In Jesus' name, I am healed. It's just not manifested yet. And what I found interesting is in the book, The Power, they also talk about the same thing. So you can either run on the spiritual aspect of it or the faith aspect of it, or you can move into the scientific aspect of it, of what the energy and the atmosphere and the power of your mind and all of that. You're still healed. The more you rehearse the negativity in your life, the more you think about it, the more you're going to bring it about. So one of the things that I listened to yesterday that I thought was it was cool. It says, you don't change your kitchen by painting the outside of your house. And so that's it's very true. You can't change if you don't change from the inside first, because it's just going to be lip service. So you have to be intentional about your thoughts. The only thing that can grow is what we give energy to. So in the book, it talks about, as a man thinketh, as you think, that is what you become. Should be kept in the forefront of our minds constantly. You must guard your mind constantly against doubt, because it is a crippling vibration. When you are entertaining doubts, what you are actually doing is creating images of the things you don't want. So one of the things that I found very interesting when I was listening to one of my books is that as we think, our minds are instantly trying to step in and make those things happen, but our minds don't recognize the negative part of our thought process. So when we say, I don't want to be fat, our mind doesn't recognize the don't. The mind recognizes, I want to be fat, or, you know, I don't want some, it's along those lines. So that's where it talks about where you want to, as you're thinking and creating those positive thoughts, you really want to have that positive affirmation in present tense, because that's what your mind is gonna move towards in starting to create that. So we want to make sure that we are creating something good, because it's going to get created, whether it's good or bad. We need to be on purpose about creating the goodness of it. So some don't succeed because they don't expect to succeed. Expectation has power. Words are destinations. Words have the ability to chart a path into your future. Every thought you think and every word you speak is creating something in your future. And it's all about love. So if we focus on love first, and that is love of ourselves, number one, love of ourselves, and then it moves out into the love of other people. And they talk about it, you know, quite often you hear, if you don't love yourself, how can you love someone else? And that kind of made me bristle when I first heard about it, because when I first heard them say that, because I love people, but I have to work really hard, have had to work hard to love me. So that's it's important to be able to recognize that. So you increase your vibrations with love and positive thoughts. And so you have the capability of changing your atmosphere with your thoughts. You have the capability of creating the life that you want. And I have talked several times about the ranch that I have wanted, and I've gone into very great detail about the different things in the ranch that I want. Well, now obviously I live in an RV, and so but that doesn't mean that the ranch is still not part of my dream. So when we first started RVing, we started with a fifth wheel, and loved the fifth wheel. Don't regret having the fifth wheel at all. But since I was little, I always wanted a bus. And when we hit the road, every RV park we went to, if a big motorhome came in, a bus came in, I was up and outside watching that motorhome. I could feel my body vibrate. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I could feel that vibration of expectation and excitement. I'm going to shut my video off for just a second so things can catch up, because things are freezing. So in a course of a year's time, we ended up in a motorhome. So now we have our motorhome. And so in our travels, we look for, we keep our eyes and our hearts open to the area that God wants us to move to when the time comes to settle down. And so as I was looking on Zillow, I found a place, and I was looking at the whole property and what it all looked like, and I realized that that's the first place that I've seen that like my vision for my ranch. It's not perfect, but it helped me to kind of bring that excitement and that expectation of that dream that I have, to know that yes, that will come. It's coming. I don't know when it will be there, but I know that it will be there, because that is my heart's desire. And the main thing for that heart's desire is because I want that place for gathering with people, and to be able to incorporate that community and that love, and a place of refreshing if people want to come and just refresh. And so when we talk about the seeds and expectation, and we need to remember that just because it doesn't happen overnight doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. So those seeds are germinating. You know, when we plant an actual seed in the ground, we don't see what's happening under the dirt. We don't see where the roots are going in those big trees, but they're growing. And it's the same way with our dreams and our goals and our vision and just our heart's desires with our life. We have to really create that very specific picture of what we want, and we need to step into that belief and expect that that's what we're going to get, because that's what God wants us to have. He wants us to be blessed. And so if we stay in that belief and just expect that, then it will come in time, in the right time. It's not necessarily our time, it's in the right time. So I have a challenge that I want to give to you. So on a piece of paper, this is going to be about creating the image, because if we create images every day in our head with our thoughts. And so the importance is creating that good image. So on a piece of paper, I want you to write down and give yourself some space. So you're going to write down family life, social life, business life, and income. And you can create, and health. And you can create other parts of that if you want. These are just suggestions. So
Will you repeat the categories?
Yes. Family life, social life, business life, income, and health. So as you're creating this, I want you to pick each category and write down in present tense what you want. So what do you want as far as what you're working towards? I lost my train of thought. It's basically what you want in the future, but in present tense. You guys know what that lingo is. But I want you to make it very, very specific, very specific. So I have an example. It's a very small example for health. So I started doing this for my body. So I'm sure I'm not the only one that does this, but when I look in the mirror, especially not with no clothes on, it's like, whoa, it is a very quick glance. Like even when I'm looking in the bathroom mirror, just at my face, it's a very quick glance away. I have had a hard time looking in the mirror. And so I've been very on purpose about creating good health for my body. So I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I do not claim Hashimoto's. I was, so there's different things that I word in my head to be able to not take ownership of that. And then I'm very on purpose about creating good health. And so what I speak to myself every time I just say, thank you, God, that I have a strong, lean, agile body. Every system of my body works in the way that it was perfectly designed. And I've been doing this for probably 6 to 8 weeks now, something like that. And I'm telling you what, when I look in the mirror, I feel different. It's kind of like when you see those pictures of the little kitty that looks in the mirror and sees the lion. It really changes that perception. And so that's where what you want in your life, it's very important to be very positive and very loving towards yourself and really stay in that mind of expectation of the goodness, and make sure that you stay in gratitude and thank God ahead of time for what's coming your way. So every moment is a new moment. We have an opportunity every minute of the day to make a change, to move in a good direction. So go as far as you can see, and when you get there, you'll see farther. It's kind of like the footprints in the sand. I believe totally that if God gave us the big picture of our life, we would have a really difficult time because we are in that mode of, well, how's this going to work? How am I going to make this happen? So it's all of that. And so I believe that that's why, one of the reasons why we just have a step-by-step process sometimes of the direction that we're supposed to be taking. So that gives us the opportunity to make changes like right now. So as the more we are conscious of our thoughts and our expectations, the easier it's going to be to recognize that, oh, that probably wasn't a good thought to have. So what I encourage people, like I have a friend that he said, I was just reading the other day that if you want to make a change in how you're thinking, that if you have a negative thought, you need to come up with 3 positives. I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you that. He's like, well, I just don't know how to do that, because he came up with 3 like in your face, like, and it's like, that's not the way. So what I encourage you to do, if you have a problem starting off with this, is come up with something that is a pat one-liner. So as that negative thought comes into your head, know that you're going to say that positive one-liner until you can move into that mode of being comfortable and being aware and knowing what you're going to say to combat that. So when my kids were growing up, I used to tell them, if you can't think of anything else, just say, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. So it's just whatever is gonna be beneficial for you, that's what you need to do. Whatever it takes to get you into that mode of positivity, raising your vibration, and really increase that expectation of good things are coming your way. So I tried to keep it very short today because I'm very long-winded usually. That's what I have. Any questions, comments?
I think we're twins, Romy. Everything you said is going through my head all the time about the positive stuff.
Awesome. All right. We will see you next week. Did you have something, Kenzie?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
I saw you.
I know. I just unmuted because I was going to turn off the recording.
Oh,
Stacy has something.
yeah. Go ahead, Stacy.
have something to say. You don't have to record it, but I just did I really did the challenge that Amber had given the first week.
Awesome.
Actually, the first week my husband and I just kind of talked. We were in the car together, and so we just kind of talked the challenge, But then I thought to myself, we actually really didn't do it. So, because I felt like I needed to be visual. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you what that experience was, because I'm so nervous talking. Obviously everybody has limiting beliefs, but mine can be somewhat debilitating about money. Even as far as like when I go to pay bills, I will not pay the bill because I'm constantly thinking about, if I pay this bill, then there might not be enough money to pay the next bill. That's totally crazy, and that's not the case. There is money to pay the bills. So it's all in my own mind. It has been like that. Sometimes I feel like it gets worse and then it gets okay. Anyway, so we did this exercise, and I've been really working on this whole, there is enough money. There's always been enough money. God has always provided and all of that. And we sat down, and so we had the call on Tuesday. And then so on Wednesday we were sitting down, and we talked about it and wrote some things out. And I was actually pretty surprised at myself that I thought, this isn't so undoable. In our minds, we have this thing that's like, oh my gosh, there's no way I could ever do ... But as we were writing it down, I really just kind of had this sense of, okay, it's not bad. That's okay. That's doable. And so then the weekend came around, and when I left, he left for work, and he got two phone calls that day as we were talking about this whole money situation. And they were two other sources of income that literally just came in out of nowhere. They weren't things that anybody was pursuing or whatever. These were just two random phone calls from people. So it was like, oh my gosh, okay. At the same time, we had been driving around, and I need a vehicle. I need another vehicle. And so that's kind of scary. Like I said, like I don't want to pay bills and all this other stuff. And so we looked at a car. It's a 2011 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And when I got in it, I just thought, again, the negative. Sorry. Anyway, I was like, there's no way we can do this. So, because I was having anxious thoughts. So we left, and sure enough, we went to the bank. We did have to finance. I'm not encouraging anyone to get into debt. But for me, it was really important that we do that, because I needed to go through the process, and I needed to know that it was going to be okay. Anyway, we got the car. I'm driving the car. I'm so excited. But the next day we came home, and my husband said, you do realize where we got this vehicle? And I said, what do you mean? The name of the dealership is called Flow, as in the flow of money.
Nice.
And I was like, I didn't get it. I didn't think about it, but it was impacting for him too. He's like, Stacy, it says Flow on your car. You're driving around with the sticker that says Flow. So for me, it was so huge that the flow of money is so necessary. And I needed to make sure that I wasn't holding on to it, that it's a funnel. And anyway, so it was really emotional for me, which seems so silly that buy this car was so emotional, but it was really cool. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I did do the exercise. It was really good. So
that is awesome. Thanks for sharing that, and thanks for your vulnerability, because it is amazing. We think, oh, that's just silly. Why do I feel emotional like this? But those emotions that's where the breakthrough happens, and that is so cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. What a great sticker to have on your car.
I know. I will definitely be reminded every day.
Yes.
Stacy, can I just throw in there that you just got a lot of proof that it all works. And so now your brain won't be so afraid. And when you go to do bills, you'll have evidence that what you did is working, and evidence is so important. So I'm so excited for you. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah. So in the book it says in regards to that kind of that fear of not enough, and I have some of that, which is weird for me because I don't realize that I have it until all of a sudden there's just that little thing that comes up. And but I repeat, there never is and there never has been any lack of supply other than that which we have created for ourselves because of our own limited awareness. And I think that's very powerful. So, way to go. Awesome job. And it is a great example of when you get to the top, when you get to where you want to go, then you'll see farther. So you just keep going. Where there's a breakthrough, then it's just awesome. So, thanks. Anybody else? So I'd love to hear your comments when you finish. You don't have to share in the group what you do with the challenge, but I'd love to hear that you've done it, and if you have any revelations about it, how it made you feel, because our feelings they're very important. Sometimes our feelings can lead us astray, so we need to make sure that we don't allow our feelings and emotions to run roughshod over us. But it's also something that really helps to bring about awareness as well. And so I'd love to hear any kind of feedback that you want to share in regards to this challenge. And that's all I got, unless somebody else has something. All righty.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good week, you guys. Thanks for being here.
Bye.